One of the biggest questions I have been asked multiple times is, how do you hear from God? I talk about hearing from God all the time. And I don't say that in a way to the point where it's like it's an easy thing and you just hear from God immediately, or it just comes like that. I don't say it in that way. I've been hearing from God since I was a kid. So it's something that I just know when he's talking to me. But for anyone who is having questions like, how do I hear from God? I can only give you that from my experience, what I've been through. I'm not saying this as I'm some expert in hearing from God. I can only speak on me. I'm not, everybody may hear from God in a different way, or may have a different way that they hear from God, but I can only express what I do. And hearing from God from this perspective that I've seen is that you need to strengthening your relationship. You need to open your ears and your hearts to hear God. You have to welcome his voice in, and you have to acknowledge it. One of the biggest things that I would say that people don't realize is, if you really think about hearing from God and you want to hear his voice and understand when he's speaking to you, you have to spend time with God. You have to pay attention to those times where, you may say like, something told me to do this or something told me to do that. And then you do it and the outcome is amazing and you feel at peace with it and all those things. Being able to say, okay, God, was that you? And keep on trying, because you have to learn to hear his voice. If you've never heard my voice before and I started yelling out to you and calling your name, you be looking around like, who is that? Because my voice is unfamiliar to you. So in order to hear from God and really know his voice and know when he's speaking to you, you have to learn his voice. You have to hear, spend more time with him. You also even have to fail sometime at making a decision just so you can see if that was God or not. I've had times where I was, going through something and I'm just like, God, is this you? I want to know if this is you. But I believed it was God and then realized that, dang, it wasn't God. But in my opinion, it's better for me to make a decision believing that I was following God and it was wrong, to identify that no, that wasn't God, to me just make the decision, because at least I'm trying to hear his voice. I'm practicing. It's something that takes training, and you work at it because I want to hear from God. So there's times where I'm going to be praying about something and I may believe it was God and maybe it wasn't. And sometimes I have been wrong and be like, dang, I thought that was God, but it wasn't God. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that was also a learning experience for me. I was able to hear his voice even better the next time. And that's how it works, man. You have to train yourself to hear God. You have to be present with him to hear God. Sometimes you may hear God or see God through a sign that you may have been passing on, a street sign. It could be a stop sign that you've seen. It could be through somebody. It can be through something you watched on TV, a video that you may have seen, or something. Somebody can walk into a room and wear something that reminds you of what you prayed about. Like, God can speak to you in many ways. It's not just going to be a voice. It's not just going to be something that you see. Like, it can be different things. So I would say to everyone, like, if you really want to hear from God, take the time to look for God, see where he is when you pray. And when you pray and you hear something speak to you, or you see something that moves you, pray about that again and say, God, is that you? And continue to ask God and call on the God so God can show up for you, because eventually he's just going to show up because you keep asking for him. You keep on saying, God, where are you? God, where are you? God, where are you? You keep on searching for him, he going to pull up. So I encourage y'all to practice, man. Don't just say you want to hear from God, but you're not moving on it. Like, don't do that. Like, just be straight up and try hearing from God. And it may take time. It may be something that you could pick up very fast with hearing from God. But I can tell you this, when you finally start to hear from God and you start to move into that, you're going to see some things that are going to change in your life, and things are going to move differently in your life. You're going to be moving in a more of a, I would say, more of a blessed spirit even through trials and tribulations. Like, you will still be blessed through the hard times because you can hear from God. You can understand that while I'm in this position, God has something for me. While I'm here, he has a plan for me. And if you're not moving in that, it's kind of hard to feel that, because you're going to be focusing on the issue and what's going on instead of focusing on hearing from God. God says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he will direct your path. So if I'm constantly acknowledging God, see, I always move that way. Like, that's my thing. I'm always searching for God. Like, God, where are you? Where do you need me, God? What do you need from me next? How do you want me here? What should I do in this situation, Lord? Like, I'm talking with God on a daily and on a regular, a regular time, because I have to. That's how I function. That's how I function with God. That's how I function through my life. That's how I move, because that's what brings me peace. That's what makes it where when I'm making decision, I don't stress too much on the decision, because I've been praying about it. And even if I am wrong, at least I know I was praying on it. I just was wrong with this one. And God, I just didn't hear you properly. Maybe I got in my own head and I was hearing things that I wasn't supposed to hear because it was all me. But at the same time, God ain't gonna slap on me and beat me up because I have faith in hearing from him. Because the whole time I have faith in that. But that doesn't mean that sometimes my judgment can be off on what I heard from him. But no matter what, I'm always going to be talking to God and in relationship with God at all times so that I can hear him properly. But yeah, y'all make sure that y'all take time to be with God, spend time with him, talk to him, learn his voice so that you can hear from him properly.